Welcome to EPODEX. In this video, we show you how to pour a metallic kitchen countertop or table in just a few steps using the EPODEX epoxy resin system. To prepare the surface, you will need EPODEX pre-cleaner, the EPODEX primer, paint roller and paint tray, nitrile gloves, protective sheet, and masking tape. Make sure that the surface is free of release agents and other substances that interfere with the bond, such as grease, wax, silicone, concrete paste, and cleaning agents. If the surface presents any residues, we recommend sanding them off. Tape the edges with masking tape to ensure a clean finish. Cover the area under the countertop with our protective sheet. Prime the surface with our primer. Depending on the selected kit, the primer might need to be dyed with our WB pigment before use. Shake the WB pigment well before use. Mix the primer well and pour the mixture into a paint tray. Paint it on with the paint roller. Repeat the process until you reached sufficient coverage. Let the primer dry. Tape the edges with masking tape, ensuring part of the tape extends above the countertop. This will prevent the epoxy resin from dripping down later. Continue with the main coating. For the main coating, you'll need our epoxy resin, mixing bucket, scale, stirrer and cordless screwdriver, paint roller, nitrile gloves, and colorants and pigments to dye the epoxy resin. Our epoxy resin kits consist of resin, hardener, and the desired pigments. Weigh resin and hardener in the specified mixing ratio and mix both components. Add colorants and pigments in the appropriate quantity to the mixing bucket to dye the resin and hardener. Run the stirrer through the rim and bottom of the mixing bucket, as resin or hardener will settle there. Ideally, transfer the mixture to a clean mixing bucket and mix again. This will ensure that the resin and hardener are completely mixed. Pour the epoxy onto the surface to be coated immediately after mixing, as the material may boil in the mixing bucket. Do not scrape material from the edge, as unmixed material will not cure. For multicolored coatings, we recommend dividing the color pigments proportionally to the amount of resin and mixing them with clear resin beforehand. Then mix the colored resin with the proportionate amount of hardener. Pour the highlights on the main color and work them in wet on wet. Pour in circles, lanes, or draw marbles. Work the highlights into the main coat. The more intensively you work the colors in, the more the colors will blend. The epoxy resin will start to gel after a while. Slowly remove the masking tape, allowing the resin to flow down the edges. Use a spatula to scrape off any excess material from the lower edges. Repeat this process gradually. Use a gloved hand to spread the resin along the edge, ensuring it is fully covered. The resin will self-level. Allow the epoxy resin to cure. You can seal the coating with our matte polyurethane resin to increase scratch resistance if desired. Detailed information can be found on each product page. Enjoy processing our products. Your EPODEX team.